Those who will invest in agrotourism will not pay income tax or VAT for a proposed period of 2 to 4 years, says PM Edi Rama, adding that the criteria for such benefits will be set out in a government decision. Interior Minister Fatmir Xhafaj and Chief Prosecutor Marku signed a memorandum of cooperation between their two institutions regarding the force of law operation. Although the Socialists do not agree with the proposed change to the Constitution, they have agreed to examine the amendment introduced by the opposition, which aims at reviewing the process of electing the Chief Prosecutor. Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Friday, the 2nd of February 2018. Welcome to the English edition of Aura News. My name is Alexandra and I'm here to bring you the day's top stories from across the country translated into English. Interior Minister Fatmir Xhafaj and Chief Prosecutor Marku signed a memorandum of cooperation between their two institutions for the implementation of the National Force of Law operation. The signatures were inscribed on the document on Friday morning at the office of the Chief Prosecutor. There have been such agreements between these institutions before, but this time the difference is that both will combine into a unified force for the implementation of the force of law action. After the signing at the General Prosecutor's office, Interior Minister Xhafaj made no comment to media, instead asking journalists to wait for more news by responding only, "Be patient." The agreement determines the establishment of the Central Task Force, which will execute the force of law operation through a collaborative effort with the police force and the prosecutor's office. For this purpose, the prosecution will create separate sections in Tiran, Durrës, Elbasan, Shkodër, Vlorë, Fier, Korç, Gjirokasta and Lezhë. The competencies of these sectors will be the investigation of organised crime, drug trafficking, corruption, economic crimes and crimes committed by senior officials, often labelled as big fish. Members of these structures will be prosecutors verified by the State Information Service, the High Inspectorate of Declaration, Audit of Assets and Conflict of Interest, and the Classified Information Security Directorate. Prior to appointment in the newly established roles, prosecutors will have their wealth and integrity verified. The agreement places the cost to the budget on the Interior Ministry and provides the work, tools and premises for the operations. The agreement also covers any costs resulting from situations that result in endangerment to the life of employees. The opposition defended in the Legislative Council the constitutional amendment introduced to dismiss the General Prosecutor Marku and elect a new Chief Prosecutor. The proposal suggests the candidate must be appropriately vetted and receive at least 84 votes from the Parliament. After denouncing the case of former Minister Saimir Tahiri and the extradition of Nazar CETs, DP MP and Khaled Ali Bey said that this amendment is the salvation of the justice reform and paves the way for the country's integration into the European Union. The prosecution has been captured. We must ensure the new Chief Prosecutor is elected after having been vetted and receiving 84 votes, explained Ali Bey. On the other hand, the Socialists have a different point of view regarding the proposal. In response, the head of the council, Ulsi Manya, had this to say: "It is not a salvation, but a burial of the justice reform." However, both sides have agreed to examine the amendment by appointing third-party experts before voting on the amendment to the Constitution in a parliamentary hearing on March 15th. Nazar CETs lawyer Detar Husi gave a statement today regarding the extradition of his client to Italy. He stated that under no circumstances was Nazar CET seeking to confess to any charges relating to the Habilaj case. In front of media outlets, the lawyer declared in his speech the following: "Triggered by the media attention that my client's case has received, I want to clarify to the public that my client has not requested in any circumstances to confess on the issue known as Habilaj. Also, triggered by political statements, I declare that the defendant, Nazar CET, has never granted the consent to confess at any stage of the investigation or criminal proceeding, whether in Albania or in Italy." Meanwhile, the Durrës Prosecution Office continues their investigation into the extradition of Nazar CET and whether or not it was in line with the penal code. Italian justice institutions declared CET as wanted following investigations by Catania's prosecution into the Habilaj group. In October 2017, the criminal group led by Moisi Habilaj was destroyed. The arrest of the former director of the Albanian Road Authority, Xhafaj, was forewarned just a few days ago by the Minister of Infrastructure and Energy, Damian Gjiknouri, in the studio of Tonight by Il Vatare. Gjiknouri was discussing the contract for the Tirana-Elbasan road when he explained that during August, a contract of over €30 million was signed in favour of the company. The contract for the Tirana-Elbasan road is a mess, declared Gjiknouri. The head of infrastructure explained that all charges were based on concrete evidence and this was not a case of political accusations. He has deals on the table of €30 million, exclaimed the Minister for Energy and Infrastructure. On Friday morning, with the order of the prosecution's office, the two former general directors of roads, Xhafaj and Andi Toma, have been arrested for abuses in the construction of the Tirana-Elbasan road. Along with the two former senior officials, further employees have been charged, including Recep Tarba, Agron Husa, Kuytim Husa and Rezarta Bokciu. Based on the charges imposed on the officials, should they be found guilty in court, they face up to 10 years behind bars. Prime Minister Edi Rama has announced changes in the fiscal package regarding investments in agrotourism. During a presentation of the program titled 100 Tourist Villages, Rama underlined that VAT and income tax will be removed for all those who will invest, but without setting a deadline as to when the decision will take effect. We will remove VAT and income tax for a period of 2 to 4 years, announced the Prime Minister. The Minister of Infrastructure and Energy, Damian Gjiknouri, promised investment in water supply and sewerage for these 100 villages. We pledge our support to improve water supply and sewerage systems, declared Gjiknouri. Rama went on to warn those in the municipalities not to find themselves in violation during the water operation and instead to take the opposite stance, becoming role models of the reform. Zero lek will be given for water supply investments in municipalities that do not move forward with the spirit and letter of the water reform, remarked Edi Rama. Businesses that will benefit from the fiscal facilities in agrotourism must meet certain criteria, which are still under discussion. Not every investment can be called agrotourism. For this reason, the Council of Ministers will set standards based on international procedures relating to the number of rooms, space and production of products. While the National Water Action has started with the verification of businesses, family subscribers across the country are taking advantage of the extra time provided by the government to self-regulate by entering into a contract with the water supplier, as well as a payment arrangement for any outstanding debts. The situation is particularly dire in the southern city of Gjirokastra, where families, businesses and state institutions owe a combined total of 1 billion lek to the water supplier. 64% of all subscribers in Gjirokastra have an outstanding balance. But the warning of penalties under the framework of water reform has seen the first effects, according to the water supply director in the southern city, Bashkim Tola. Debt amongst businesses is present among 24 to 25% of customer base, and the rate is almost the same among state institutions as well, he said. For businesses in violation, time has already run out, with the task force already having landed on the ground. In Durrës, family subscribers flocked in droves to self-declare for their water connections or sign agreements to pay by instalments. I have come 2 times to be equipped with a water contract, said one citizen. Economic instability is one of the reasons that some citizens gave for non-payment, but many have already realised that water is a commodity that costs, but it is necessary for life. The time has come for an end to those businesses caught stealing water, who will now be facing criminal charges. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join me again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.